You can say what you want about Chris, but ability, fundamentals, he's not great.
Is there an element of peace when you close that chapter on Chris Eubank?
No one paid a bigger price than me for that loss. You know, I got slaughtered for it. I got forgot about, boxer with dogs over it.
Paulo Thompson, world title.
Was first Michel Sorrow, who was a very good fighter.
Yeah.
I brought him over sparring, and then we got matched for the title, and you know he pulled out, so they got John Thompson, who was next in line. So, you know, started tricky, very tall, very long arms, but once round 4 come, I knew it was going into my type fight then, and I knew he was just fading, and I knew it was a matter of time.
You're fighting one of the greatest fighters that will have ever entered the boxing ring.
At the time, you could not have convinced me I was going to lose.
What was his power like?
Okay, that's a question the average man asked me on the street before Canelo. Wow, does he punch hard? And I'm like, no. Going into round 7, he's feeling this now because he's threw everything at me and hasn't budged me. Right, I'm going to put my foot to the pedal. And then round 7, boom, drop me. Frank had gone from Sky Sports to his own Box Nation channel, and I went through the struggle of that. You know, before Canelo September, and my next fight was Liam Williams, and I was arguing I'm not fighting Liam Williams if I haven't been paid. And like I say, I got paid the more of the way. Sean phoned me saying they want a rematch, put a rematch clause in. I said I'm not bothered. I beat him once, I'll beat him twice. I said okay, well we'll sit down and we'll talk numbers for the rematch. And then he forgot that phone call happened. I walked away with less money for the rematch after knocking Chris out. I gave him a rematch and got less money.
You've bundles of money. You've become a world champion. Surely it's job done. Hello, Darren Barker here. Hope you are all well. Right, so a few months ago, I had the absolute pleasure of sitting down with Liverpool boxing royalty Liam Smith, talking about his career, the people he's fought, so many funny stories, incredible stories. But unfortunately, due to a misunderstanding with a sponsor, we had to take the video down. Well, we never actually, YouTube took it down, but we've had the issue resolved. I'm happy to say that we are putting the video back on the platform. If you haven't watched it, we hope you enjoy it as much as we did. I certainly loved every second of it. If you have already watched it, it's not part 2. It is the original. We're just uploading it again, as I say. Enjoy it. Keep an eye out for more top podcasts dropping very, very soon. We've had some exciting ones recorded recently, and news will follow very shortly. Right, I am joined by Liverpool's very own Liam Smith, 1/4 of the fabulous Smith brothers. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Not bad. I don't know what I like coming up to Liverpool.
Yeah,
I have good memories in Liverpool. I think one of my earliest boxing memories was fighting in the ABA semi-finals. Oh, it was the quarters and the semis. It was was it Everton?
Everton Park, was it?
Yeah, Everton Park.
Sports Centre. I made my pro debut there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I beat someone called Terry Fletcher in the quarterfinals.
I remember Terry Fletcher from Carman's, was they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they were a good fight. Good Terry Fletcher, yeah.
And then I lost to Tristan Davis, who is Liam Davis's dad. Yeah, in the semis on a comeback. So yeah,
you feel old.
I am old. I just need your grey hair, and that's it then. And then my walking stick I've left by the door. Right, Liam, I'm going to start with this, right? You've had success, world titles, sold out fights, but when you sit with it, do you believe you got everything out of boxing what you set out to achieve?
It's a good question because on one hand I can say, yeah, I didn't want to box. So, you know, I wish I could say that moment, I've dreamt of this moment since I was a kid, and I only dreamt of being world champion from probably 18 years of age, when I kind of knew boxing was going to be the path to go down. So on that hand, yeah, I got well more than I ever thought I'd achieve in boxing. I could have retired British champion and been buzzing with that. On the other hand, no, because I think when I did set me mind to it, and I knew that was going to be my way of life. There's things I could have done in boxing that I thought, well, you know, we'll get to them points, but I don't think I should have lost against Chris in a rematch, and then You know, we've just seen what Chris done with Conor and where that's going from now with the Turks, the Saudis involved. So, no, in that breath.
So, I want to jump forward then. What are you most proud about then? Does it come from boxing? When you look at your life as a whole, is it boxing achievements, or is it something else that you think, oh, I'm so glad I've done that. I'm so glad I achieved that.
No, it is boxing, because what I've done in boxing are massive achievements, and it's what people, you know, kids who are turning pro now, without sounding big-headed, will bite your hands off for the achievements I've done. I've been British champion, Commonwealth champion, you know, and we'll get to all the other stuff a bit later on. But
no European?
No, I missed the European, yeah. That's a jet.
Can I have one of mine?
Yeah, but so I can say I never forfeit. You know, I was number one for ages, but just seems to. I think I seen Stephen talking about it the other day. Stephen was, you know, mandatory for the European title, but just never ever got a call. Never ever got. It was weird, the European title one, but you know, I can't complain. I went on to then challenge for the world title and won it, and had a couple of defences of that. So, yeah, I was happy with everything I've done in boxing in the achievements wise.
So I'm smiling, and this weren't even in my questions. Where was we? We was at that dinner show recently.
I was going to drop that in later on to see if you clicked on.
So we was at it was a charity boxing white collar show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And me and Olivia Bazaglo were asking questions, weren't we? And you was a guest. So it was me and Olivia asking the questions. You, Johnny Fisher, and Sky Nicholson. Yeah. Come in the ring, and we had to ask some questions, and we, for some reason, like being childs that we are, we all had to say a word, didn't we?
Yeah.
So Johnny said to me, I had to say rigmarole, so I had to slip rigmarole in, but I couldn't remember your word.
I'll tell you now, it's the toughest one. Bubble and squeak. I had to say bubble and squeak, and I was like, how am I getting that in? And we were talking about the fight. I said, look, it was good, it was great for all the fans. You know, it was bubble and squeak, weren't it? And then Olivia's laughed her head off, and I just thought, that's tried me hardest to keep a straight face. Bubble and squeak, that was mad.
But didn't we try and get you to say aubergine or something first? She was going, I ain't saying it.
Squeak. I was thinking, how am I getting it in? You asked me a question about, you know, two kids in the ring who've never boxed. How am I getting bubble and squeak in?
So,
you know. And then she burst up laughing as I said it. I thought,
she had a hard one as well. I think we all had quite hard one, but I think bubble and squeak's got to be the hardest.
Bubble and squeak.
That's funny. Right, okay. We have to start here. Your incredible family.
Yeah.
Remarkable. So it goes Paul, Stephen, yourself, Callum.
Yeah.
What was your childhood like then? Was it instantly boxing?
No, we were from the Rotunda. The Rotunda Boxing Club is still where it is now. A stone throw away. We could probably throw a stone from our house and hit the Rotunda. You know, that's where we were brought up, and everyone asked that question, was your dad a boxer? And like, no. Yeah, we had 3 amateur fights when he was a kid, and didn't box. But I loved boxing, you know, for years and years. I think it might have only stopped 3-4 years ago. We had piles and piles and piles of the boxing news every Thursday. The boxing news. Was just mad into boxing, and you know, Paul got took round at 11 years of age, and it kind of went from there. But we were from it is a, you know, a rough area, Kirkdale. It's like, you know, but again, I think it's what made us, built us, and give us the bit of character that I think the 4 of us have probably got.
I think, like Tony Burns, I may have said this in one of the other pods. Tony Burns from Repton, he always said that, you know, Bethel Green, which is a rough area, you were either kicking a football or punching someone.
Exactly.
They were the two avenues you could go down. And
mine was kicking a football as a kid. So the childhood was me kicking a football, them 2 going around the gym. And I always say, well, why did you start boxing? I don't mean like the feeling sorry part of it, but it was a kick in the teeth when we'd be showered that night or whatever it had been, and then you're talking about a spar that went on in the gym, or, you know, Jimmy Albo, Paul Wamsley kicking someone up the arse, or like, you know, they're talking about the gym thing, and I not trying to say I was left out, but they knew what I'd been doing. I'd been in the street kicking the ball with my mates, and then it was only when a lads who I went to school with, junior school, started boxing. And I was like, where have you started boxing? He said, the Kirkdale. And I knew the Kirkdale gym because it was less than a mile away from the Rotunda, same area. And it was not their rival, so to speak, but like I say, it was a gym around the corner. And I just thought, my three brothers boxing the Rotunda, so I said, I'm going to go to the Rotunda and box you. Not knowing at the time, he was probably...
Was he your close mate?
We good mate, yeah. Knocked about with him in school. But again, not realising at the time. I just thought because, like the Liverpool and Everton, because he boxed with the Kirkdale, I thought, I'm going to the Rotunda and I'm going to box you. Again, at the time, he was probably 70 kilos. I was 48 kilos. You know what I mean? Not realising and getting that aspect of it. And again, I started in the Rotunda. 3 months later, I was having my first amateur fight, and he quit boxing. I took to it very, very quick because of the sparring in the house with Paul, Stephen, and Callum. We'd race home from school to see who was first on in the living room, and as daft as that sounds,
sparring in
with
each
other,
Really?
So with each other, there'd be four of us. Two of us get on a couch each, like judging, and two would be sparring. But as like that sounds so stupid, we'd race home to see who was first on. Like, you're going to be on in a minute anyway. The minute, 2 minutes, they'll spar for 2 minutes, and then whoever wins, you're on. But we'd race home to see who was first on, and then we used to, as younger kids, I was always IBF champion. I loved the red belts, and they'd pick a belt each. And like I say, it started. When I say it started, we sometimes have one glove, one tea towel wrapped around the other hand,
exactly
and
the same.
We got all the gloves, and we did the key in the door. Then my mum used to hate it in the house. She hated it all along, to be honest with you, but she'd flip because ornaments would get broken. She'd come in, we'd be sweating on the couch with gloves up behind the door. She'd go, "You've been boxing?" And we'd go, "No." But red raw, sparring, no tops on, red raw, pinch marks all over us. She'd just know we'd been boxing, and then I say there'd be ornaments in the bin, or there'd be something broke.
And would you have all been amateur boxers then at that stage? So Paul, obviously, how much older? You wasn't then?
No, because I didn't start till 14, Darren, which people might think 14's young enough now, but how old was you when you started?
I think I had my first amateur fight at 13, but I would have been doing similar things to you.
Yeah.
I was the oldest, but I was sparring with my dad in the kitchen and my brother and messing around.
That's where I took to it quick, and you take a kid to Rotunda now, it's probably 12 months before they have a first fight, and that's where Paul starts at 9, Stephen 9, Callum 9 years of age, because the Rotunda's limit was 9, because you couldn't box till you were 10. You could maybe have a skills bout when you were 11, and you could have a skills bout at 10. So they all box from 9, and Callum is 3 years younger than me. Is 2 years younger than me, but started as his first amateur fight before I started boxing.
It's mad that But what was your dad saying around this time? Was he buzzing off of it?
Yeah, he was always made up with it, and always again, I think whatever happened with him as a kid and why he didn't stick with it, I think he was buzzing that he had the four of us in the gym.
Yeah,
his whole life was in that gym, and he'd go to that gym to train of a morning. The gym's open to the public of a morning. We can all go there tomorrow morning. You pay your £2.50 subs, whatever it is, and you can do whatever session you want tomorrow morning in the gym, or you can do the gym. Put a circuit on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday evenings.
Did you ever? You must have. Did you ever box on the same night, on the same show? In the amateurs,
a few of us. Yeah, not four of us. No, we've never done the four of us.
Never done the four.
Never done the four. When I signed with Matchroom, there was a possibility we could have. I think Paul was just retiring when I signed with Matchroom. We were always just last year. We were just dragging him out of retirement for one, and him. But yeah, just unfortunately, we never had the four of us on one bill. But it would have been tough when you look at it, and when you think of the pressure on the four of us, how close we are. For say, just example, I'm top of the bill. For me to have to go through Stephen being on, then Callum, then Paul, be exhausted by the time I got in the ring, because I wish you see me in Saudi. I get that nervous. I've got a habit. Only when I'm nervous, I bite me lip, I bite me inside of my gum. After Callum Boissy, I had a hole inside my mouth. The next day I was in agony.
It's horrible.
Yeah, agony.
It's so much worse watching a sibling.
Yeah, and again, you probably, no one will understand that or realise that, I'd rather fight twice over than watch one of my brothers fight.
I think it's got to be like a control freak thing. You know when you're fighting, as hard as the sport is, you know what you can do. You're in control of it. But when you're watching,
that's exactly what it is. The control of it. You know, you're in control of what you're doing, and you're also kind of know how you'll take it if it goes the wrong way. I just think like you don't know how they're going to take defeat if it happens, because we know the possibilities of it.
Yeah.
I also don't want to see any of them knocked out, because we know the possibility. There's a chance of every time they get in the ring. So it's just that the fear of the unknown that I'm terrified of it happening.
So how many amateur fights did you have?
I had 78 amateur fights.
And titles?
I won 2 juniors, 2 NABCs, and a senior ABA title.
So at that stage,
I only had 1 crack at a schoolboy title. So you'll know it's changed a little bit now. But at the time, there was 4 schoolboys, wasn't it? I remember the Union Jack used to get. But I only had 1 crack at the schoolboys.
I always wanted that badge.
Yeah, so
I wanted that badge.
There's always. I remember that was the first thing when you used to watch the brothers. Oh, he's got a Union Jack on his shorts.
Yeah.
Because everyone would have the badge on the shorts. But I won 2 juniors, 2 NBCs, and 1 senior ABAs, and then I'd say professional. When I won the senior ABAs, the Olympic qualifiers were all happening at the time, so I weren't really gonna. Obviously, I was boxing for England, but I was never ever gonna go. I was probably never ready anyway. I was 18 or 19. Sorry. And Bradley Saunders was going to qualifiers at my weight, and he qualified anyway. So
you're not going to wait 4 years.
Yeah, no, I was never waiting 4 years. I hated the amateurs. I didn't like the amateurs anyway, and I boxed as I say like a pro. I was a fighter as an amateur. You know, I weren't really the computer scoring type fighter. I was a fighter and used to throw body shots in the amateurs, and I remember the World Under 19. I didn't lose a junior fight, Darren, right? There was a full 12-month period. I won the NABCs, I won the junior ABA, I won the junior ABAs, then the NABCs, and then when I won the 4 Nations, I went to another tournament, won 3 fights, and then I went to coming up to the junior ABAs again, the second ones, like Class B. Paul King said, "You win the juniors this year, Liam, you go in the World Under 19s." So I won the juniors, hands down. I walked them, to be honest with you. And then Jim Davison, the England coach at the time,
remember him?
He sent a kid who was just turned 17 to the World Under 19s over me, like a southpaw boxer. David Doherty's name was. Didn't know the kid, but I just know his name because of that reason. And then the end of that year, Callum beat David Doherty in the junior ABA final.
Really?
But Jim Davison sent him over me. Lost the first fight. I was a good age. I think I was 18, going to the World Under 19s. This kid was just turned 17, and Jim Davison sent him. Southpaw boxer. It was known at the time. Jim Davison loves the boxer type fighters, and he sent him, and he lost first fight, and then that same year, Callum beat Dave Doherty in the junior ABA final. It was Callum's age, and I just remember thinking, they're not for me. They don't like my style anyway. So as soon as I won the senior ABAs, I just thought, right, I want to turn pro, and I did.
The people talk about politics in pro boxing. It used to be terrible in the amateurs. I don't know what it's like now, but it was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know now because none of us involved in it no more. Little Paul is, and but at the time, that was one of the politics that I just thought. Yeah.
So you decided to turn pro, which Paul and Stephen would have already been professional. Yeah. Where's your head at with boxing at that time? Then you think, all right, are you fully immersed, enjoying the sport, or is it just a job, I
wanted to. Then, like I say, at 18, I thought, no, what, boxing's going to be my route, and I always thought that from when it's how much national titles are in the amateurs, especially back then. I see now kids as the 12-time national champion. I'm like, how does that work? They're only 60. How you won 12 titles? But they have these belts now, and they have development championships, and it wasn't like when we were in the amateurs. So, when I didn't stay for the next big tournament for me to stay amateur was the Commonwealth Games. Callum went them Commonwealth Games, so I probably wouldn't have gone.
What one was that?
That was India, Delhi.
What year would that have been?
That was 2010.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah,
it was 2010. Yeah, because then the next Olympics was London, wasn't it? 2012.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because I was in the 2002. in 2006, 2010, yeah.
Yeah. So you, Manchester, wasn't you?
Manchester, yeah.
Then Stephen was
With
Melbourne.
your brother, obviously,
so
yeah.
Stephen was Melbourne.
Right.
And then Callum. So the ones I would have had to stay for, I won the senior ABAs at light welterweight, so that was 64 kilo, 63 and a half. Then they got done away with the weight, so I probably would have been 64 or 69. Callum went to Commonwealth Games at 69, so imagine I did stay. It would have been me and Callum battling out for 69 kilos. But then, yeah, like I say, and then when I turned professional, I did want to turn professional. I was loving boxing at that time, and when you win a national title in the amateurs, I remember Paul first winning one. He's done one in England at that weight and that age. So, you're 13 years of age, you're the best in England at 32 kilos. Yeah. And I remember the reaction when Paul won it. So when I started winning titles and started then boxing for England, I thought, you'd think you must be a little bit better than this, than you are at football. So then when I come to 18 and when I knew the two brothers had turned professional and I thought there was a possibility I could turn professional, so that's when I set my mind, you're going to be a boxer and now's the time you've got to put everything into it.
Just quickly, before I go on to the pro debut, was there ever serious opportunities for you to become a footballer?
Not really, no.
Not really?
No,
right.
No, not really. Like I say, I always played at a good level. I always, even still now, I still play at a good level and I've done for the past 10 years. But no, I was never ever close to being a footballer. I was never at a club as a kid. You had trials here and there, but I was never at a club for a long time.
Did you play all through your boxing career?
Yeah.
I had to stop. I done my. I was nowhere near as good as you, but I played for a Saturday league club. I kept doing my ligaments.
I'm such lucky with injuries. That's probably why I played for as long as I did. I was never ever, like I say, I never got a bad injury. I never ever had to go in the gym on a Monday and say I can't do that because of football, because that's when people would have really started getting pissed off with me, and people didn't like. Every coach I've had has asked me to stop playing football, but again, I was just born hard. I love football, and I still proper love football. Maybe not as much as boxing, but I'm only a step behind. I still proper. I still go to games every week.
Really?
Yeah. Well, when I say every week, then I had a season ticket. I give it away because the Saturday 3 o'clock games I could not make. Now most Liverpool's a Sunday because of Europe and stuff now, and I go every game I can if it's midweek. But the Saturday 3 o'clock game, because I play on a Saturday, I'll kick off at 3 o'clock also, 3 or 2. I couldn't really make them games, so I still go to every game I can now.
So your debut 2008, brother Stephen's on it.
Yeah.
Can you remember who top of the bill was?
Nathan Cleverley
versus
Tony Oki.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, come right back to me that.
Yeah. Would you remember your debut?
I know what I remember. I remember, obviously, I boxed on a lot of Nathan Cleverley cards, but the debut was unbelievable at the time. The Everton Park Sports Centre was the top venue it was always a great atmosphere. I remember the ABAs, obviously you just said yourself, you're boxing in the ABAs, but I remember we used to have the areas in the ABAs, and they were massive nights. The senior ABAs in there, they always have to have a night, pitch black in there, the loads. I boxed in the junior ABAs and all that, and sometimes they were daytimes, they were 2 rings, it was light.
Yeah.
For the senior ABAs, you'd always have it dark with lights on, and there was a load of from the area, loads of people we know, Mick Whitty, Joe Ainscoe, and there was just top fights, in the senior ABAs. But then some pro shows in there were brilliant, and obviously, my debut was a boss atmosphere. They're close, a little bit like the Olympia now. We don't have the Everton Park Sports Centre, so we have the Olympia, and if you get the Olympia full, it's noisy because it's not a huge arena. So, the debut was it was great to see some pictures now, proper skinheads.
Any grey hairs?
I probably had grey hair back then. Honestly,
I had a colour hair. No, I had a few.
Honest, Dan, I've got. I could never ever tell you what colour my hair was, brown or black. Honestly, I've always had mousy, weird colour hair anyway. So that's why I always laugh at people. If I was to dye my hair now, I wouldn't know what colour to dye it.
It's funny as well. You go back to the front room where you're sparring with your brothers. You probably had scenarios where you would imagine it being your debut. Yeah. I remember messing around shadowboxing in the kitchen at home and going through my future career.
Me and people laugh when you say that. And I remember somebody asked me a question the other week, I think it was Olivia actually, about have you taught, have you ring walk, have you practiced your ring walk? So whoever tells you they don't, a liar.
Oh, 100%.
Whoever in professional boxing, and then I remember watching later on, and a loads were denying stuff. It was for the Wembley show, and a load of people was denying. I thought, you're lying. Just be honest and say. Every pro boxer like practices the ring walk. I'll think what they're going to say when they win. I think what they're going to do if they get a knockout. Are you going to jump on the rope, or are you going to, I do, mate. I've always have. I thought of every scenario like that. What I'm going to say, who I'm going to, if I'm going to call somebody out, or who I'm going to thank. I try and say it so I don't forget when it happens. If that makes sense, I always do think, right, me ring walk. I'm going to wait on the ramp until this minute of the song. No, stuff like that. I've done that in enough every fight through me pro career, to be honest. Yeah, I have.
Big moment in your career, 13 fights in, you fight Steve O'Meara, Commonwealth title. That's got to be a buzz. It's a big tick, isn't it? Winning your first, title, major title, if you like. You've left your mark. Whatever happens at that stage, you've won a title.
1,000,000%. And that was a big part for the whole career for us, that, because we always had Paul, Stephen. That was where the pressure side come, more so with the British title for me. But the Commonwealth title was my first title, and it always left a special place because of that. I've won a professional title. I could retire now. I didn't win an international title. I didn't win, a youth title or anything like that. I won the Commonwealth title. It was a big title. But we always had the pressure because we always had someone ahead of us who'd done it.
Yeah.
Paul had been British champion, being Commonwealth champion, Stephen the same. So there was always pressure on us going into them fights. But
pressure from inside the family or outside?
I think probably outside. People looking. I've always said now, again, I'm going off topic, but my nephew, Paul's lad, he's just won his first national title. He sobbed, cried his eyes out in the ring, getting out the ring. And I just think he's been feeling the pressure. And you don't look that far into it, and you forget that he's in senior school. You've got mates probably, you've probably got your first bird dad at that time. But yeah, he's got a girl. So you've got people, how'd you get on last night? Oh, I got beat. Like, you're the Smith nephew. One of the Smiths is your dad. I just think he's got a lot of pressure on him, and when he's losing comes to the fight, but to win his first national title, like I say, he cried after it. There's videos of him running to his dad, squeezed his dad. You just think he'd won a world title. That was his world title at this age, because he sobbed, and I thought, that is the pressure off him now.
Pure relief.
Just relief. I'll show you. I'll get up on the phone at the end, and I'll show you the video. Is the relief on his face, the relief on him running to his dad. And I just think that's the pressure of maybe school. Everyone thinking, the Smith's your uncle, one of the Smiths is your dad, and the pressure off him when he won that title. And then, like I say, from the outside looking in, we've kind of all had that pressure.
Yeah. I guess a big moment that pressure was lifted off of your shoulders, an element of it anyway, was 2 fights after beating Eric Ochigan, because you won the British there. And I think you're lying if you're not a British fighter and you don't want to win the British title. Do you know what I mean? It's always a title you want.
Yeah, it is. Even when you just look at it, there was always that tag, it's the most prestigious belt in boxing, and people are always grasped, why it's only the British? But even now, like I say, I can go and get all my belts now, bring them here, the British isn't there. And you're like, why? Every title I've won I can bring to you right now, I can't bring you the British. And that's why. And I kind of should have that. That's one that eats away at me, and I'll explain that to you in a minute, but I should own a British title outright. And obviously, to win the British title, they just changed it. I think it was the year before I won it, Darren. 1 win and 3 defences. Now, I think it was only 1 win and 2 defences.
Yeah, it was.
It was 3 wins on the belt. Now it's 1 win and then 3 defences, and 1 has got to be a mandatory.
Is that how they work it now?
Yeah, that was how they work it now, yeah. So, obviously, I won the British title. It was the pressure was massively off me then. I was British and Commonwealth champion at the time, and Paul and Stephen were still British champions. Callum stopped Patrick Mendy on the same day I beat Ochang for the English title. So obviously, Joe Gallagher at the time was mad on the history and the social media side. So we had the 3 British titles all there. Paul brought his belt, Stephen brought his, and we had the English title underneath it, and like I say, there's pictures of it. Callum probably was ready for the British title at that time, but Paul was British champion at that weight. So Paul was British super middleweight champion, Callum was English super middleweight champion. Paul did eventually vacate and Callum was the next champion. But again, the British title, the prestigiousness of it, we held 4. We had
It's
3.
mental.
We held 3 in the house at one stage. We've held 4, and I touched back on and remember Tommy Coyle fighting Luke Campbell to become the first British champion from Hull. And I'm like, from Hull? We've got 4 in one house.
Do you understand how, like, do you ever sit back and think, and I'm jumping, this was going to be one of my last questions, but even the fact that, like, my dad won the ABAs and me and my brother won national titles, that, like, for me, that was a mad story. Like, wow, 3 of us.
And it's an unbelievable story as well. I think
that what you lot have done is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing.
You know what, mates? I think when we sit here and talk about it, and then at the end, when people who know, like yourself, will ask them questions, and by, you just said then, your reaction to you winning national titles is a huge, huge, huge success in the amateurs. You look at it like that. Again, they were trying to become the first British champion from Hull as a city. We had 4 in the house. We've got 4. My mum's got 4 sons, all 4 of them at that belt.
Incredible.
And again, if we'll come to that question later on in what we've done as the family. But I think it will probably be spoke about when the 4 of us are done and we can sit on a couch and say, "Well, I've been there or done that and what have you."
I can see Arthur smile there. I mean, this is a real big one. 22 fights. Apollo Thompson, world title.
Yeah.
Before the actual fight itself, how was you feeling sort of going into a fighting, challenging for a world title?
Yeah, at that time I had boss momentum. I was flying. I kind of found a bit of a niche in what not style I was going for, but I kind of knew how to do a 10 and 12 round fight then. And I knew I was a 12 round fighter. I knew I would never ever found wanting for fitness or, durability. So I just kind of found, I not found myself. I just found the style and what I was really, really good at, and I was always grasping for that shot. I was always, when you get fights, I could have carried on, not milking opportunities, but I was desperate. I was banging doors down for opportunities. I was wanting big fights. I was wanting, and like I said, the Apollo Thompson one was first Michel Soro, who was a very good fighter.
Yeah.
I brought him over sparring when I was fighting. I forget who it was when I was fighting, but I paid for him to come over sparring, obviously, as you do. And I brought him. I knew he was a good fighter, and I had a couple of good spars with him, and then we got matched for the title, and he pulled out, so they got John Thompson, who was next in line.
Yeah. Just touch on something that you said there. Finding that niche, finding that showing that you was probably ahead of your time. That's like wise head on young shoulders. That is, in the sense you found that experience that works for you. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people don't find that till later on in their career, but to find it then in an early stage, finding something that works for you, it is a massive plus.
Yeah, massive. And I went through a phase. It was probably around that time I had like loads of like 6, 7, 8 round stoppages. Where like I make them work when they didn't want to work. I was always kind of in the face, but not doing nothing myself. And I always said, for it was a strange scenario for me to say, but I got my rest up close. People that go on the back foot and move around the ring to get their rest in the ring. I get my rest on your chest. I get my rest just looking through my guard, but blocking and stuff. And I get my rest up close. I don't get my rest circling around the ring.
He was similar the other day, Conor Walker versus Liam.
Yeah, someone
Taylor.
tagged me in the knockout. Yeah, said a little bit like Liam Smith.
It was all in his work.
Yeah.
He was pretty level going into that 7th round, and but he really made Taylor work very hard, and you could see it was a struggle. Took a few on the gloves, but it was economical. Do you know what I mean? He went about his work properly. The fight itself with Thompson. Yeah,
started tricky, very tall, very long arms, but I think once round 4 come, I knew it was going into my type fight then, and I knew he was just fading, and I knew it was a matter of time.
World champion.
Yeah, and then again touching on Paul and Stephen, I'd seen them fall short in big fights, and Paul again. You could argue the toss whether he beat Abraham the first time or not. He lost the rematch. Stephen was very unlucky. Had a tough fight against Jose Pedraza, and then again against Jason Souza. So for me to then do it, challenge and win it, and get all the accolades. I've touched him before. Paul was British champion before me. Stephen was. Yeah. I was the first world champion before then Callum won his, but I got I was the first world champion from Liverpool for 22 years. So it was great from a selfish point of view for me to get all them, accolades and all that.
Buzz.
Yeah, what
and
I mean?
Regardless of how close you all are, if that was it, one of the brothers won a world title. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, whoever won it, we'd have been the same. Like I said, they weren't gutted for me because they lost theirs. Whoever won the world title, we it's not an act how close the four of us are. We're still close now. We'll always be that close. I speak to people who don't speak to the brother, and I'm like, I cannot believe how
mad.
I cannot get my head around it, mate. I can't, and I couldn't dream. I couldn't even think about me not speaking to one of my brothers.
I remember my brother always said about your Stephen. I clearly remember him saying he'll win a world title.
Yeah.
He's one of the best fighters he'd ever seen. I think he sparred with him. My brother Gary would have been younger.
I think he was because I think he was in the middle of me and Stephen, Gary.
Yeah.
So I think he been 38, 39 now, maybe.
Yeah.
38, 39, yeah.
But he rated Stephen. Yeah. Really, really rated him.
I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people think he was, certified to be a world champion. The ability he had in the amateurs. I speak to people now to say he's the best amateur I've seen. People still say that now. So I think he was one who, but you can't really say underachieved because he's one of them who just was unfortunate that his 2 world title challenges, Americans have said, produced their career best performance in Stephen Smith. Jose Pedraza and Jason Souza, both their career best performances were against Stephen, and that's just the fine margins at that level.
And I guess there's a fine margin of, when you ask that question, did he underachieve? But then that's kind of belittling those titles that he won.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, it's when you look at him stylistically and what he can do, finding that balance is really hard.
That's right. I understand what I mean, but again, it's probably the wrong way that he underachieved.
Yeah.
He probably had everything to be a world champion. Unfortunately, he didn't. But that is just like the fine margins.
Well, you do need
luck as well, don't you?
Luck, exactly what I was about to say. The hard work, the talent, the desire, the will to win, all of that heart, courage, which you all have. He certainly had. Yeah. But that little bit of luck, who are you going to be challenging? Look, if I'm fighting Martinez again or Golovkin, I'm never a world champion.
I remember someone saying that I forget who it was who said the same, but it's not about who you fight, it's about who you don't fight in the pros. Yeah. It always just stuck with me, that.
Yeah. It's true. Right, I mean, this one massive. So you make 2 defenses and then you're fighting one of the greatest fighters that will have ever entered the ring, the boxing ring, in Canelo, in Texas, right? Arlington.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where to start with this. I mean, obviously well touted then. He was a star, a superstar. Yeah. But back then, did you think he would go on and be the absolute, mega star he is now?
Yeah,
as big as he was then as well.
Because I think I fought him on the back of beating Cotto, and that's when I think he beat Cotto at 155, then come back down to 154 to me, and like I said, that's what convinced me I was going to beat him. Again, you could not convince me now that.
Really?
Yeah. At the time, you could not have convinced me I was going to lose. It was basically about how good a fight to put up with him. You couldn't convince me at the time. At the time, I found my niche. Like I just said, it was in the same period. I'd stopped John Thompson, I stopped Jimmy Kelly, I stopped Radosevic, and I just kind of thought, you know what, he'll be coming back to 154. And I always had Cotto Margarito in my head, where he'll hit me with everything, and if he doesn't budge me by 6, I'm going to put my foot to the pedal. The weight will kill him, because I just thought he's going to struggle to make 154 again. He's had loads of fights at 160, but he weren't really doing 160, he was doing 155 and 157, but I was still convinced 154 will hurt him, and if he doesn't hurt me or get rid of me by 6, I'm going to put my foot to the pedal and I'll stop him on his feet later on. Yeah, and that was
you was doing well, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I never done a full training camp thinking, right, it's about how good I perform. It's not really about winning. I couldn't do a training camp like that. I'd rather say no. You know what I mean? It was more. I was convinced. I never got good money for that. Dan, I've had better money, for the two Eubank fights, and again, I argued over the second fight. Was
that mandatory or voluntary? Against Canelo,
it was classed as a voluntary.
Right.
Yeah, so it was not pay splits or nothing.
Yeah,
and I got really, really short change for it. But at the time, I remember being young, naive, bit of a scally, a bit of a rag ass, and I just thought, no, what? I'll take that, because if I beat him, I'll get millions for the rematch. And I got Callum, John Ryder, Billy Joe, all got 5, 6, 7 times more than I got. And it was a world title, and I should have. When you think, would you change things in boxing? That's probably the only thing I would change is that and the Eubank Jr rematch. But I wish I held out, because I was champion, and I
for more money.
Thought, I probably just thought I'll never get the opportunity again, and if I beat him, I'll get millions for the rematch, because they'll want the rematch right away. I'll be able to name my price for the rematch. So, again, that was before the fight, and you couldn't convince me I weren't going to lose. I had Cotto Margarito on my head the whole camp. I just thought I'll break him late on. And then, as the fight went, again, I was happy how the fight went. But then standing off the stool for round 6, thought, right, now we put the foot to the pedal, because it was still the fight I wanted. It was the fight I dreamt of. It was the fight, he was, I was having me moments. He was there to win it in fresh air all the time. So that's the type of fight I liked. I didn't want to chase someone around the ring. Obviously, his ability was second to none. He had me switching from 20 seconds in. I fell short with a jab. His relaxed Mexican style was like a constant feint. He had me switching every minute. But then, as the fight settled, it was the fight I wanted. But standing off my stool for round 6, I thought, right, I'm going to put my foot to the pedal now. And then round 7, he dropped me. So he's just totally relaxed. I've thought going into round 7, he's feeling this now, because he's threw everything at me and hasn't budged me. So my thought process was, right, I'm going to put my foot to the pedal. And then round 7, boom, dropped me. So he just totally relaxed. And I remember Linares against Crawler, the first one. I thought Linares was looking for a way out. And then he hit Crawler done a big dance. And then he just relaxed then for the rest of the fight. It was like sparring to him. And that was what it was like with Canelo with me. As soon as he dropped me, it was like he got a second wind, not second wind to up the gear, a second wind and just relaxed. Then it was just like, he not coasted the last few, but I've got the breakthrough now. Now I can hit him. You know what I mean? And that's how the second, like obviously then the body shot happened, and the rest was history. But when I look back now, the people who fought him, I think I give him a good fight, and I think that's why I've got the respect off him I have, because every time I've seen him since, and when I've been in the scenarios, I think he's got a lot of respect for me. Yeah.
What was his power like?
Okay, no, that's a question the average man asks me on the street. You fought Canelo, wow, does he punch hard? And I'm like, no. Like,
really?
Not no, because obviously he does, but I've been harder than sparring off people, and it was more how good he was. Like I said before, he had me twitching as relaxed shoulders, as relaxed style, just had me like do a feints. I fell short with a jab. Next time I threw it, he went to slip right hand, and I just thought, I'm not getting it with that in round 1. I've been in the ring for 10 minutes with the national anthems, the ring walk. I'm in the ring first. Thought he's not hitting me with that first. He knocked me clean out round 1. So he just constantly had me.
Is it
edge?
Like a total package as well? It wasn't just like offensive letting shots go. It was defensively as well. Just everything.
Again, I was happy with the fight I got, because he was there to be it. But defensively, he's got one of the best defenses in the world. Like I say, he's getting older now. He's getting a little bit more marked up at the end of fights now. But his defense was unbelievable. Rider shots. Yeah, it's just how he does that, and he's just so small, compact. To think he went to light heavyweight, he's still smaller than me now. But that's how shows you how good he is, how solid he is. Still never been dropped. I think he's a special fighter.
So the aftermath after that fight, I mean, obviously you're extremely proud of your performance in there with one of the greatest ever. If people were to have him in their Mount Rushmore, then you couldn't argue.
No.
Do you know what I mean? He's an absolute legend. You'd achieved the world title. Still hungry, still ambitious after that fight?
Massively, yeah. I wanted it back. I was, Canelo won it, moved on, moved back up in weight. I was desperate to be a two-time world champion, and I still am. I was mad for it. I badly wanted it back, and that was the next goal after that.
Yeah. So you have 2 fights with Liam Williams.
Yeah.
Tricky to fit.
Yeah, good fight. It was a good solid fight, but it was a fight I never wanted, and I'm going to go back now to the British title. Now, the British title, I won it. I had 2 defences, and he was my 3rd defence, mandatory challenger for the title, and didn't want the fight. And I went down, I had to meet him with Frank, I had to meet him. They got Gary Lockyer on the phone, send us the contract, we'll sign to step aside, which was fine. And this was not on them. They were, because to be totally honest with you, why have a tough fight with me for the British title? When I move on, he's going to clear up. There's no one to come behind me to pick up the title. Now, he goes and wins the British titles. If I win a big title, me and Williams fight for a world title. Stuff that was probably Gary Locker's thought process in it, and Liam Williams's. Send us the contract, we'll sign to step aside. Because if I win it now, I've won that belt outright, I move on. I'm not going to have 4 defences. So the board, no, can't happen. You've got to fight Liam Williams. He's the mandatory challenger, or you've got to give the belt up. Williams pulled out with a hand injury. The board made me wait. The board said, you can defend the title, but you don't keep it outright. So I'm like, so you want me to have 3 defences, then have 4 to keep the belt outright? So they say, Frank got me a international title. I give the British title up. Liam Williams then won the British title. But then I beat Liam Williams when he was British champion.
Yeah.
But the British title went on the line because it was an interim belt on the line. So that's why I should have a title outright. I should have the British belt outright.
Robert Smith, come on.
Well, I've seen, but like I say, regardless of that, I've always laughed at Robert Smith saying, we'll go to it in a minute, but on that British title belt, your name goes on the belts. I won it, had 2 defences. Callum won it, had 1 defence, I think. Stephen won it, had 2 defences. Then he won it again at the weight above. Paul's won it twice. Paul won against Quigley, defended against Dodson, lost to the Gale. Then he won it again. So
so between the 4 of you, there's not one.
Between the 4 of them, we've won about 10 British title fights, and we've lost 2 or 3. Now,
there's got to be a belt.
I said, why don't you just kind of not donate, gift, or give me the
Because you don't get
title?
anything, do you? You don't get anything.
Title. We've got no British. So the amount of titles, if we were to get a photo shoot now, but whatever else we've done, we've got to ask the board, can we borrow a British title, or go and ask a British champion? And I think how we haven't got one in my dad's house when the 4 of us have all been British champions. We've had numerous defences. That our names are all over them belts. The belts, your belt, your name gets engraved in the belt.
Yeah,
our names are all over them belts, but we don't own one in the house between the 4 of us.
Well, so I won it, and then straight away there was an opportunity for me to fight for the European, and I couldn't beat the mandatory. So I can't really remember. So when the board asked for the belt back, everything was round with mum and dad. So I went round with mum and dad's house, and I went, Dad, I got to take the British title back. He went, what? So I got to give it back. He goes, nah, it's not that. The house has been burgled. Well, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's the whole thing. Yeah. But you have to give it back. But you don't have nothing to show for
No,
it.
that's what I mean. But like I said, so the Williams fight came, but the first one, he was always, like I say, he was a solid fight. He was always going to be a good solid fight. But the first fight, I failed weight on the first one, and it was just an horrendous camp from start to finish. I was going through a bit of a tough time with Frank Warren. Frank had gone from Sky Sports to his own Box Nation channel, and I went through the struggle of that. I think Frank's flying again now. He's back. He's on his feet, and he always will. He's one of the best. But I went through the tough times with him trying to set up Box Nation, and I had a little bit of trouble after Canelo. I fought Canelo September, and my next fight was Liam Williams, and I was still arguing with Frank over being paid, and I got paid the day before I fought Liam Williams. I got paid for Canelo, and I was arguing I'm not fighting Liam Williams if I haven't been paid, and like I say, I got paid the more of the way, and eventually fell weight by a little bit. I struggled the first fight. The second fight I kind of didn't. I won handily the second one, and again people think the second one was closer than it was because one judge gave it a draw.
Yeah.
Again, it was like probably I seen you comment saying on Peter McGrail's the other day. One judge gave that a draw.
That honestly,
yeah, you know what I mean.
That was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I seeing something different here?
No,
I've always got to.
Like I said,
when I'm sat there at the commentary desk, you're looking up. I have one view, and that the other judge has a different view to me. But
no.
Do you know what I mean?
Like I said,
I could not believe
you could
that.
accept 97, 93. I probably thought 98, 92. Probably
Rather
give
more that
by just he won a couple on work rate, but you 97, 93. Say, okay, they give him probably one more than expected. I could never ever see a draw.
95. If you haven't seen this fight, Peter McGraw, Beluta, it's like ridiculous.
That's what maybe check mine up now. It says I won a majority decision, but it's because of that reason.
Yeah, I remember.
So again, that's two good fights with Williams while I was waiting round, and then I say waiting round, while I was trying to get back to challenge for the world title, and then obviously, the Jaime Munguia fight comes.
Yeah, 4-year-old title. How did he compare to Canelo? Unbeaten then.
I got asked that question because they were coming for, but it was one, again, I touched a little bit unlucky. I was meant to fight Saddam Ali, who was a blown up welterweight, in New York, and I got sick just before that, so Munguia stepped in, beat him, and then I fought Munguia in the July, and I hadn't boxed since Williams, so I was out there in 11 months. Munguia had 4 fights in the year, and just young, hungry, whether he was juiced up or not, because he just failed the drug test. Now we never know. But he was just like an energy bunny. He just wouldn't stop. And it was the first fight I've ever had where I've looked at the ring girl scorecard.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that the pressure that he put you under?
I don't know. I can't put my finger on it because, maybe not, because I went into a point where first 3 do what you want, but after 3, 4, I'll take over and I'll start getting better. And I've always, like I said before, I've never ever been found wanting for fitness or,
no.
I've always finished fights strong. Look at all my 12 rounds. I've always finished them strong. At this point, and I can't remember thinking, it's only round 4 or 5. And I just couldn't, there was rounds in the fight where he was tired. He was naive, very green, as they say. But I think, right, you're fucked now, and I push him back. Think, put my foot to the pedal, and then I would have to choose to step back. I was thinking, I can't carry on. So it was me. It was not him stopping me in my tracks. It was me then having to step away and slow down and have me breather. And there was just something I couldn't put my finger on why I was tired in the fight and I couldn't go with him.
Remind me where it was, the States?
It was in Vegas.
In Vegas, that's right. Any chance it could have been, how long had you been
1,000,000% it could have been, because I got to Vegas Tuesday and fought Saturday.
Oh, did you? Yeah. That is early.
Yeah, and that because of visa problems. That's like...
late, sorry.
There's no time to get accustomed to it. But they're just little things people don't know and people don't care. And to be honest, the outside looking in, people are not interested in it. It's just classed as excuses. I got to Vegas Tuesday, at the press conference Wednesday, made weight Thursday, and fought Saturday.
Any reason why you went on the Tuesday? Because even now,
they never gave me my visa. Dan, the embassy had my visa.
Right, because that's nuts. Yeah. Even East Coast, I was going out there 2 weeks before. 2 weeks before East Coast.
Yeah.
West Coast absolutely wipes you out.
It's 10 hours difference, isn't it? Vegas, 8 hours and 8 hours time difference, 10-hour flight. But again, nobody's interested in it, and people just trying to make excuses. But it could have been that I just couldn't really. I couldn't go with him in the fight. He just threw too many punches for me, and I've never been, certainly at that time, being found wanting for that. So you fouling trying to get your title back. A lot of questions they asked then, think he's ready for Canelo. I was like, no way, he's miles off.
Really?
Miles off, yeah. I just thought Canelo will. I was miles too good for him when the fight was, early on, around do look at the first 3 rounds. I win the first 3 rounds. Just very naive he was, jumping in with jabs. I was slipping and countering, and then he was very fit and very loads of energy, lots of punches. And
you're not taking your frustration out of Munguia, though, are you? On your performance, like, I could have done this, I could have done that, but really and truly, he was a good fighter.
Yeah, but at this, he went on to be an even better fighter, and I ended up being a fan. I liked how he was. To a point up until a year, 2 years ago, he's fighting anyone. He's fighting dead regularly. He kept the titles active, even when, after me, he fought Dennis Hogan, he fought again. Then when he moved up, but he had a lot of defenses of that title in a space of 16, 18 months. And I liked him. I just liked his style. There was no awkwardness about him. He was just game. Threw lots of punches. So yeah, no, I'm not. For some reason, I just couldn't go with him in the fight. And like I say, on his chest, felt he was tired. I felt he was weak. When I say weak, he wasn't physically a strong man. He was tall and he was big, but physically strong, I didn't feel he was physically strong. But just like, when I say fitness-wise, he just threw punches, and it was like, in them type fights, I wanted to be you go, I go again. Yeah. And that was him. So he'd go, I'd have my go, he'd go, and then he'd go again, and then he'd have another go while I'm still covering up, and I just couldn't find it in me to keep going with him. Yeah. And he just ran away with the fight. After 5 rounds, he just ran away with it. So
you don't get your title back. Where's your head at that point?
Yeah, well, I was sick, but I remember just thinking, I've been out the ring a long time. I'll beat him. I'll beat him on a different day. And that's what I thought. And again, I was still young enough. I just thought, I'll get another crack at it.
Yeah. But there is a sort of rebuilding process that had to take place. As Sam Egerton, is it always right? Beat these, get back to that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, the Egerton fight was my first fight with Matchroom. Again, it was a good showcase type fight. I understand why it got made.
Yeah.
Again, I felt sorry for Sam. I love Sam. I use Sam a lot for sparring, but that was the perfect. But it's also the perfect way to tell you about I hate the saying levels, Dan. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate when people say levels. I remember Anthony Fowler saying it all in the build-up about Scott Fitzgerald, levels, and then Fitzgerald beat him. I hate that. I hate the saying, but I think that was the perfect case of levels. We had top spars. We've had top spars since, but that was the a good case of showing you on fight weight with little gloves on and a crowd and a bit of adrenaline.
And certainly fighting how you like, where you say, go, here they go, go again.
Sam was always going to be there for me. I was never going to have to chase Sam. Like I say, we have great spars with big gloves on and head guards on. That was, little gloves with the crowd, with a bit of a fear of losing in front of the crowds. And again, I was just, when I watched it back, with all due respect, I think I could have stopped Sam in 1 or 2 rounds on that night. Yeah, but it was a good fight. It was a good showcase fight for me to announce I was with Matchroom, because I wanted to be with Matchroom for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was under contract with Frank, but me 3 brothers were all with Eddie, and I was away on a lot of trips with them, and I used to get on with Barry more than Eddie at this stage. And I remember we were in LA for Kell Brook and Sean Porter. Callum fought on the undercard, and I remember watching Callum just get his hands wrapped, and as I turned around, they're all joking behind me. Barry's like that pointing. I've got Callum's t-shirt on with Matchroom on the back, and Barry Ain's getting a photo pointing at the Matchroom on my t-shirt, because I was still with Warren at the time. So I used to have a great relationship with them, and I wanted to be with them, but we're still under contract with Frank Warren.
Barry loved Sam again, didn't he? He's one of his favourite fighters.
Yeah, he got on a little bit of a love for Sam off the prize fighter stuff. But and then I say when I signed with Eddie, we had the Sam Egerton fight, and then I fought Mexico, which was a great, great experience. Again, that was a top show. Just I think everyone on the bill fought against Mexicans. I think at the time one of the Mexican, not the president, one of the mayors or somewhere of the area bought the whole remaining tickets and give them for buttons $1.
Just sold out.
Ran full, sold out, and they all got on the Mexican side. So honestly, it was great. It was a great arena, a boss experience, you know. And then I fought in Phoenix after that, Arizona, and that was another great experience.
And then Russia as well. I mean, that was dodgy.
Yeah, like I say, the Russia one, I remember just thinking, you know what, I've been world champion for the WBO, former world champion deal, kind of give me the respect I deserve. That makes sense. They give me the respect to being that they won't rob me. And then I always thought, another side and thought, you know what, I won't even leave it to them. But the fight, you know, it was a good fight. I've been out the ring a long time through COVID. I never got on any.
It was almost a couple of years, wasn't it? Yeah.
I never got on any of the back garden shows, you know, for Matchroom. And then I'd had me 3 fights for Matchroom, and COVID come, boxing weren't really happening. Then the garden show started happening in Eddie's back garden, so I never ever got on any of them. So I got offered the fight in Russia. I took it. It was a big fight because then the winner, I was number 3. I think Kerbinov was 5, but I was 2. But they put Tim Tszyu above me. This is before Tim Tszyu eventually became world champion. And so if I beat Kerbinov, I was going to go back above him, and it was a big fight for me. So I thought, you know what, I'll take it and I'll beat him. And it was a good fight, you know, close enough, but you know, there's no way in the world I lost it. I don't think so. You know, they give it to Kerbinov, and that's when I just remember thinking, wow, what am I doing now?
And
it's a bit different losing to Kerbinov in Russia than losing to Jaime Munguia in Vegas and Canelo. You know, that would be my 3rd loss, and I was thinking, wow, where do I go now?
Did you ever seriously think about retirement?
No, never, ever, never. And you know, I never have done up until losing to McKenna.
Yeah, that's
the only time when I've thought, is it? But you know, going back to Russia, no, never ever. I remember just thinking, wow, where do I go now? What, like, I had no promoter. I was not with Eddie. Right. I done a 3-fight deal with Eddie. You know, we had the fights. Eddie was doing the back garden shows. It was COVID. You know, boxing they weren't boxing. They weren't even getting spoke about. Do you know what I mean? COVID, no one really knew what was going on. People were fighting in front of certain amount of capacities, and it was not, you know, you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, wow, what now?
Well, what now was a big local derby against Anthony Fowler. I mean, that was, I'm intrigued to know your thoughts for this, because you got I say young, he wasn't really young, was he? But he was I think they were sort of saying the guy who was going to have the torch and fly the flag, if you like, for Liverpool. There was a bit of needle between the two of you as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was just, you know, Eddie come back on for that. I think, again, I'm not daft, do you know what I mean? They thought Fowler and McGuigan had thought, you know, I've lost in Russia, now's the time to get Liam on your record. You can say what you want. You know, Fowler was Eddie's fighter. I know I'd signed back with Eddie again for the Fowler fight, and if I beat Fowler, I get what was coming next. But, you know, deep down, Eddie didn't shout. You know, deep down, Fowler was Eddie's fighter. He'd had him since the debut. And at that time, I do think Eddie probably wanted Fowler to win. Maybe. That's what my thought process was at the time. But, you know, fair play to him. He sat there quiet, didn't shout, because he had us both. But, yeah, the fight was a bit of needle. I remember just thinking, again, I lost the Fowler, I was done. You know, so I can't be world champion from losing to Anthony Fowler in my own city. So I just thought, and I knew he'd try and shake my hands. So I knew, again, what we talked about at the start of the show, thinking ahead of your celebrations and stuff. I said to my brothers, I know he'll try and shake my hand. I'm not shaking it. I'm not going into it all friendly with him. I lose, I'm done. So he is trying to finish my career. So that was the thought process behind the no handshake at the press conference. And then the needle had just started throughout the city. You know, people talking. But we've come across a number of them derbies now, and so thank God we've come through a lot of them. Paul Quigley, Paul Dodson, me, Fowler, Callum and Rocky. We've had some big derbies that have divided the city, but you know, I weren't going to be the first to lose one. So like I said, I lost the Fowler, my career was done. So it was a big fight for me, and again, the buzz around the city sold the echo out in no time, and yeah, it was a big one.
Well, like pressure-wise, how did that compare to others? Because not only is your career over there,
the city's hard to walk around. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Massive,
Walking around the city.
But I never ever thought of that. I just thought of losing, not really the stick I get. You know,
Right.
It was more just, look, I lose, I'm done. But when we sit back now, wow, some pressure moments, because I'd have been, it would have took away everything I'd done. That
would have ate away at you.
On paper it wouldn't, but that would have ate away at me more than probably winning world titles. I'd have been remembered for losing to Fowler in Liverpool. So it was a huge fight for me in that sense. And again, once the buzz went around the city, and it was some atmosphere that considering it was a local derby, it was probably 90% of the crowd for myself. I can remember the reception I got. I knew I'd have them more, but no way did I think I'd have that much.
It was loud.
Yeah, it was loud. And I remember thinking there and then, and when I got back to changes after the fight, I said, wow, knew you'd have a lot, but I didn't think it'd be that many for you. And again, it's on one of the Matchroom clips, Callum saying that. But the fight itself, a good fight, exactly how I thought it was. And I remember Mike Costello and Andy Lee commentating, but I remember watching it back, and I think a lot got made more on the commentary. Again, it's hard for you who are commentating, Dan, but I've been hurt in my career. Fowler didn't hurt me once.
No.
Not once, no. Kabanov hit me on the top of the head in round 10 and hurt me. Obviously, Canelo put me down. He never once hit me or buzzed me, Fowler. He just nailed me with a clean shot, do you know what I mean? In round 1 and again in round 4. Just nailed me with a good shot that you can't do nothing about, but not every clean shot hurt you. I think Mike Costello went on that I was hurt, and then, but again, he never hit me as in rocked me or I felt one. But after 4, I say to Fowler at the end of round 4, my fight now, innit? And walk back the corner. It's my type of fight now. I just knew once he was cut, I was cut from round 1. And once I got cut round 1, I thought, oh my God, there we go.
Did you say that to him?
Right end of round 4, yeah. Bell goes, I say, my fight now, isn't it? And he walked back the corner.
That's got to be soul destroying for Fowler.
Yeah, but he didn't even look. He didn't even acknowledge it. He heard me because we were, closer than me and you. But the end of round 4, the bell goes, and I just say to him, my fight now, isn't it?
And he knows
and
that.
And then after round 5 was the knockdown.
Yeah,
it's fair play to him. When I watch it back, I remember saying after how he got up off that, because it was a chopping right hand that should have put him asleep. But then when the replay happened, I think that's it. That's why he got up, because it hit there, not there. If it hit the chin, I think you're going to sleep off that. Just the angle of the shot. I think he goes for a right uppercut. One of them, and I've come right down on a straight right hand, but it hit there. So I kind of showed how much was in the shot for it still to put him over, hitting here, not the chin. But again, he got up and survived the round, and then I think round 8 wasn't really a big left hook. I think it was more exhaustion than anything. I think he was going back to what we said earlier on, just the pressure of the 4th round, probably starting in 5th gear where I've started in 2nd. And by the time I've upped it, you can't go any more. No. Is there only, he's only going one way, I'm going the opposite way. So I think that was a big factor in the Fowler fight.
Good feeling as well. Was that when you played football the next day?
Yeah, next day, yeah. I've done that, but that's just when it was well documented. But because I was cut on that one, the Fowler one, the lads asked me to play. I said, look, I'll play, but I'm not heading the ball. I said, okay. So
did you miss a pen?
No, I scored. No, that was after Eubank. I scored that game.
That was Eubank.
I scored after Fowler, yeah. And then after Eubank,
sorry, that was Eubank.
I played. See, I more remember for missing a penalty than anything else, honestly. It's fucking mad.
Celebrity, that is. But right, so Jan 2023, the Eubank fight comes around. How exactly did it come about?
Yeah. I had Fowler, then I had Vargas in New York, Manchester Garden, which was, again, just a bucket list type one, which ended up probably the best trip for anyone. All my fans who follow me everywhere say New York was the best. Vargas, we had Madison Square Garden, Katie Taylor and Serrano. Their fans were frightening. Obviously, all the Irish got behind me as well. So, but all the Irish fans, the Puerto Ricans for Serrano, were frightening that night. Unbelievable. One of the best atmospheres I've been in and around, and their fight was, was unbelievable. I was kind of gutted. I had to watch their fight backstage because I and my drug test, I pissed blood after it. So I had to stay with the doctors. Their commission's proper, like, really, really strict. I had to do a test before, a memory test. When I've got the venue to fight, they're asking me to do 10 press-ups. They're asking me to read.
Did they really?
Yeah. I said, I'm doing press-ups. I'm fighting in a minute. Okay, we got to do 10 squats then. Then they're asking me to read the months of the year back to front. Then I'm going to read 4 letters to you, repeat them, 4 numbers, sorry. Then I'm going to say 4 numbers to you and read them back to front. Their commission is, and honestly, it's like no other, but...
I mean, I definitely would have found that.
Yeah, so I say I had blood in my urine, so I had to stay there. So we're watching the first 4 rounds on the big screen, and I wanted to be, because the atmosphere was unbelievable for the two of them, and the fight was a great fight. So that was one that I'll always remember. But then just after that I was a free agent again, and Boxer come on. So I was still fair to Eddie as well, because like I say, I loved Eddie and I loved Matchroom. Everyone at Matchroom, I still get on great with them all. I kept Eddie in the loop with the Boxer negotiations. I said, look, Boxer has been on, offered me 2 fights, and Eubank the second fight, and Eddie offered me, and Eddie just kind of said, look, just keep me in the loop, Liam. I'll offer you blah blah blah. And then it was just the deciding factor with Boxer was Eddie just said to me, look, Liam, I can't match that. Just make sure that's backed off Sky. That's all I'll say to you. Advice. And it was Boxer then guaranteed. Eddie offered me Eubank, but we all know Eubank's a nightmare to deal with. So my point to Boxer was, look, if I sign, what if Eubank walks away? Says, I've got Golovkin or something else. Where do I go with second fight? You say to me, we can't give you that much money. We're not fighting Eubank. And then I didn't want to be with Boxer, truth be told, but they then said, okay, well, look, have your first fight in Liverpool, second fight with Eubank. If Eubank doesn't fight you, we'll still pay you that money. But they offered me, we'll give you this much money. I said, no. And it's okay, well, we'll pay you. What we pay you for Eubank, we'll pay you for second fight, whether it's Eubank or not. And my point would be, well, I can't really say no to that, because if they don't deliver me Eubank sounds a great fight that people are going to talk about and people will be interested in. If they don't deliver me Eubank, they can't really deliver me no one as good or as big or as tough a fight as Eubank. So I'll be getting very good money for a lesser opponent than Eubank. So, and like I say, Eddie understood. I said, William, I cannot guarantee that, because if Eubank walks away, then, I can't guarantee the same money, because I don't know I'll be able to deliver you. So he said, but just a bit of advice, make sure that is back, because if they liquidate the company, your contract's void. So that was the next call I made, and that was where the Eubank fight come. I had the homecoming in Liverpool. Less said about that one's the better. And then the Eubank fight, was probably not going to be made, because he got matched with Conor, and then Conor failed the drug test, so the fight with me got made. And that's how
was you always confident you beat Chris Eubank?
I was always confident I beat him, always, regardless of what anyone thinks, regardless of the rematch. I done a lot of sparring with him when I was in Joe Gallagher's gym. And again, you can say what you want about Chris, but ability, fundamentals, he's not great. And I was just always too good for him. Sparring with him. The only reason they were good spars at the time was because he was a middleweight.
Really?
And I was a 154. And that was the only reason. And Ronnie Davies said to me after it, you can hit him when you want to hit him, can't you? I just think you could see it was only, and even back then, I think he was a better fighter than he is now. He could really fight. He'd put his head in a good position. He'd put his foot in between your legs, and he was a better fighter then than what he is now.
And how long before was that?
I was years.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, 5, 6 years, maybe 4, 5, 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
better then.
Yeah, and he was an armful then. He was an armful then. That's what I said in all my interviews beforehand. Even now, his work rate's not a patch on what it was. Like he hasn't got a massive work rate now. He's not the machine he was known as. He was not the unbelievable work ethic and throws hundreds of punches around. He can't do that. And for a number of years, hasn't been able to do that. Like set that pace in fights. He picks his moments. He showboats when he wants his rests. And I was all over it, to be honest with you. But when I did spar him, he was a handful with the work rate, with the size of him, with the fitness and the durability side to it.
Did anything surprise you from him
in the
on
fight
night? Yeah.
Yeah, how much he was. I was convinced after it, and if it happened, if you told me now, I could say, I told you. I said after, do you think he's been knocked out in sparring? So after my first fight with him, I said to my family, to my brothers, do you think he was knocked out in sparring? And it hasn't been let out, because he was terrified of getting hit. And the Chris I sparred, the Chris who's been hit off Frotch, Groves, sparring, he was terrified to get hit. And when I say terrified, nobody wants to get hit, Darren, but I mean, from a boxer's point of view, you get in, you want to think, like, fuck that, or you can punch him. Or you think, nah, that's okay. And Joe Gallagher used to say to us, how's his power? At the end of round one, or the round we've been in, Joe Gallagher's questions always be, how's his power? And I said, I went with Joe at the time before, Chris, but that was just the saying, you want to feel someone's power. When I was up close with him, and he was petrified, holding the elbow, getting his head out the way, and I thought, he's terrified of getting hit here.
You're right, yeah.
He's proper terrified of getting hit. And then when I did hit him, again, the elbow thing is funny, but it's just, I hit him a straight 1-2 and he buckles, and it was only the last left hook that puts him over. But again, after it, that's the only thing that surprised me. He was that, he's known as a bit of an hard case, had street fights in Vegas and had wars with Frotch sparring and all that, all the stories about him. The thing that surprised me on the night was I felt he was terrified to get it clean.
The feeling winning that fight was a buzz that you see your brother running.
There was a buzz because of the build-up. There was a buzz because of the arrogantness and the around Chris. And for me, it was more. I hate that. Like, I hate the thought of it, but I felt like running around saying, I told you, but not. I'd win. The whole fight week, I felt like the same. Well, I might as well just not turn up, because they were so. Chris can't be hit the head. How do you feel like you can hit him? And I told you anyway, I'd hit in the body sparring. So I said, don't think Chris can't be hit the head, because he's never been dropped and he's been. And it was more like, I told you. Stop thinking he's invincible. There's been people with better chins than Chris Eubank Jr. knocked out in the past. And if anybody hits you clean with a talent glove on and you don't see the shot, you can go. And again, I said to Andy Scott, I told you all week. Don't be surprised if it happens. And the fight, the interview in the ring at the end of the fight, watch it back. I say to Andy Scott, I told you. And I felt like running around to everyone who, you see in the media, we do fight week hits, you're in one room, the next, and everyone was like, Chris can't be hit the head. And I was just like, he's a mad. He's got a great chin. I've got a great chin.
Yeah.
But it was like, well, I might as well not go the head then, because you're all saying he can't be hit the head. And that was my reaction to it. That was my, I told you.
So, what went wrong in the rematch?
The rematch was, again, it was just more, I should never ever have took it, and the buck stopped with me, and that's what, I said to the start, the only thing was I should have held out for Canelo, and I should have held out with Chris, because I held the win over him. But it was, I pulled out of June 17th. We announced the rematch for June 17th. I went down the Tuesday for the press conference. I went down Thursday for the gloves are off. On the Friday in the gym, my back went. Now I was doing like a burpee jump, and I've got a mad twinge in my back. Went to physio next day, Saturday morning. I couldn't walk straight. I was lopsided. Went to physio for ages, couldn't train, so pulled out of the June 17th fight. Then boxer said, right, it's rescheduled for July 1st. Pulled out with a back injury. So, because that's where, I seen Chris do it interview, he give us a few dates. I was like, I give you no date. I never accepted July 1st. Boxer must have put July 1st and then Boxer come back on, look, we've got September the 2nd, but that's one day over our contract with Eubank. So, it's basically got to be then Liam or Chris walks and your contract for you. The talking lawyers and courts. I was like, but look at the time though, right? I'm training now, so Yeah, and my thought at the time was, you know what? I make weight, I'll flatten him again. And that was the only thing I thought. I make weight, I'll knock him out again.
I've, I was very similar with my last fight with Sturm. Obviously, I didn't have the fight before, but I wasn't 100%. But I just felt I'd have enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that was obviously the same for you. You just, with the first fight going the way it did, knowing you could hurt him.
That was it. I just thought, no, what, with the crowd, adrenaline.
Yeah.
I thought I'll get it right on the night. I just thought, make weight, I'll flatten him again. Whether I'm behind, I just thought, make weight, I know I can hurt him. He knows I can hurt him now. I just thought, make weight, I'll flatten him again. And it didn't go that way. And like I said, no one paid a bigger price than me for that loss. I got slaughtered for it. I got forgot about. Boxer with dogs over it. I got less money to fight Chris in the rematch. They had like something in the contract which, again, I'd done the contract myself for that. Through a couple of different reasons. I left MTK. MTK went, folded. So I had no manager at the time, and I'd done the contract myself. So it was a little bit of a screwball on my part. There was a little clause in the contract, whereas the rematch clause was kind of classed as the option. They had the option on me for the same money, and they used the rematch clause, which again, Sean phoned me saying they want a rematch, put a rematch clause in. I said, I'm not bothered. I beat him once, I'll beat him twice. I said, okay, well, we'll sit down and we'll talk numbers for the rematch. And then that never ever happened. Never happened. And then he forgot that phone call happened. So, yeah, I walked away with less money for the rematch after knocking Chris out. I gave him a rematch and got less money.
Is there an element of peace when you close that chapter on Chris Eubank?
No, I think that'll always eat away at me. There's an element of peace in it now because I lost to Aaron McKenna. So that's the Chris fight a million miles away. So that's the only way I'm at peace with it now, thinking, well, it's not going to happen now. He should beat Conor. I've just lost, so I thought it's not going to happen. But the loss and how I lost and how I'll be remembered for losing will always eat away at me because,
I guess,
like I said, the sparring, the first fight. If I lost to Chris through work rate in a top fight, I'd say, he's a big middleweight and he was fit. But the way I lost, it'll always eat away at me.
And the McKenna fight on Eubank, Benn undercard, what would you put that down to?
Again, that's a hard one to put my finger on. And the Eubank one, I can tell you a million things. The McKenna one, I got back. My back was fine. Either, if I get one more soon, it'll be a lot more to answer that question. Because it'll be either I'm done or I've been out the ring a long time. Sparring, I was great. I still feel great. I feel young again. With me back, it's a mad way to look at it. With about back, you feel old, you feel stiff.
Yeah.
When my back's okay. I'm a young 36. I play football my whole career. I do a lot of sport. I'm playing paddle every day now. My back's okay, do you know what I mean? But I was out the ring 19 months, a long time. Now, whether it was that, or whether it was I'm just time to call it a day now, then maybe so. But it's a hard one. I feel the McKenna one's the only one that could go down to a point that you should never be losing to Aaron McKenna. The Liam Smith wouldn't lose to Aaron McKenna. So if that's the case, then that could be the one. But 19 months is a long time as well. If you're 25, it's a long time. Never mind at 36. So
just you've achieved so much.
Yeah.
In every area. Everyone knows who you are. You've bundles of money. You've become a world champion amongst other titles, national titles as an amateur. Big occasions. Travelled the world.
Yeah.
Why would surely it's job done? Surely,
yeah,
why?
It is, and like I say,
knowing the nature of the sport as well, and how hard it is, and the family that you've got, and everything you've done. Why?
Know what, Dan? I love it.
Fair.
And that's why, like, again, people, it's hard to walk away. I'm not at that point yet where and I'm struggling to walk away. But there's just loads of things. When I sit and have a long think, yeah, okay, I was poor against McKenna, but do you know, if I'm losing to Crabs, that should be, but that's kind of a testament to me.
Yeah.
Anna McKenna's 20 fights unbeaten. You know, again, regardless of, I'm disappointed in my performance, maybe because I was out there in 19 months. But let's forget that. I lost to a 20-0 unbeaten.
Yeah.
Kid who's saying everyone's, scared of him and whatnot. He's feared this. If I'm losing to people who have lost and people who are, like I said before, people who are Crabs, then you could say it. I've lost to Canelo, a special fighter. Munguia, was a top fighter. Eubank Jr, because of whatever, again, he says he's a good fighter. He should beat Conor again. Everyone's raving about him again. So, Russia, I should never have lost in Russia. I won that fight. Anna McKenna's 20-0. So, like, if I'm losing to people who shouldn't have laced me boots, then I can understand it. But I don't know. Like I said before, Derek Chisora's still going. Dave Allen's going. People are raving about Dave Allen again.
And you've got a style.
As nice as that as Dave Allen and that are, I've got more ambition and more ability left in half of my body than they've got. And that, I'm not being disrespectful to the two of them, but they're back on everyone's lips again. There's.
But what is it?
Loads of ways I can look at it in arguments. I can walk away tomorrow and that could be
I guess it's the right reasons though, Liam. If you do carry on, it's for the love of the sport. You're not chasing nothing. You're not chasing money, titles. It's just purely for the love. And you do have a style that it does have longevity in it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You take the sting out of shots. Saying.
That's like, it's so hard because again I've just lost, but I've just said before to you, it's because I love the sport. I love it. Like, there's nothing at the moment. There's nothing I love more.
Yeah.
But I'm not chasing titles. I'm not chasing money. I could have walked away years ago and being happy with what I'd done. I got it outside to boxing.
Yeah.
If you ask people around me, if I get it outside to boxing, I'm done. I've got a house. I'm okay. I've got two, lovely kids at home. Two daughters who I've got to think of as well. But again, touching back on that, if I'm a shot fight, I still hold a good shot. If I'm a shot fighter, I'd be up and down. I could go every time I land a headshot. I've got a style that has longevity, like you just said. It's a hard one. If I'm done, I'm done. And that will I'll let you know that in given time. If I get a fight, if the phone rings now and I get offered something September, October, I'll tell you now, I will take it, and we'll see then whether that was the 19 months out the ring, McKenna. If I've got the cobwebs off against McKenna, and I perform a little bit better next time or what have you. If not, I'll retire. But I'll retire on my own terms. A happy man.
Yeah, fair play.
You know what I mean?
Have you ever thought about what you do after boxing?
No, not yet. No, I probably should have. Like again, I'm one of them people. I haven't, set myself up yet for life after boxing. I will start to think about them things now and get in the process of what I'm going to do, where my energy and my time's going to go. I manage a young kid, Frankie Stringer. I'll probably manage a few more fighters because I've had a good career, as in I still got a great relationship with, Frank Warren, Eddie Earn. I'm not going to say Ben Shalom, but
I've got to be flavour of the month.
I've got a good relationship with the main promoters. So I've been approached off fighters to manage them and said no because I'm still fighting and I don't want to be detrimental to you that I'm putting the effort into my own career and my own path when I should be fighting for your dates. So if I retire, I've got all the time in the world to fight for your dates and your dates. So I might take a few more fighters on, but I'll start to set up life after boxing now. Paul's managing and coaching, Stephen's coaching. I'm going to New York next week with Stephen, actually doing Chantel's corner with him. So yeah, I'm like I said before, if I retire, I'll retire happy. If not, if one more pops about, I'll see where I'm at.
Proudest moment?
Ooh, Callum beating George Groves.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Isn't it? Isn't it? People can't people, again, what, really?
That's quality.
Yeah, it's weird, I don't know, just a soft spot. That was my little brother, the underdog, what have you. Just seeing him become world champion, yeah, it was my proudest moment.
You picked
Besides
out
me 2 kids.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
keep it boxing.
Yeah.
You've picked out a couple, but if you had to single out one of the lows.
Ooh. Eubank.
Yeah.
Just the backlash I got off it, like I say, like I lost to Canelo. My phone was nothing but positives. My social media was nothing but, plaudits and even Munguia, yeah. The backlash I got for Eubank, the rematch was a lot. Even off people who, like I said, the calf rotch, yeah. He seen his one podcast he done. I'm the only fighter to approach him because I was the best thing since sliced bread. I was the best middleweight in the world when I beat him.
Yeah.
7 months later, when I lost to him, I should retire. He said, he was singing me praises before it. After the fight, said something. I can't remember what he said. He said something bad, and I seen him and I pulled him on it, and he gave me a bit of a mad reason why he said what he said, but offered me his hand, and then he offered me his hand twice, and I shook her. He said he'd address it on his channel, and he did. So fair play to him in that sense. But yeah, probably the lowest was the Eubank rematch.
Yeah. Canelo, the best you've been in with?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Who hit the hardest?
Still probably Canelo. Opponent-wise, fight-wise, Canelo. Yeah, Canelo, definitely, yeah. I fought a few who were quite heavy-handed. A few who were known as heavy-handed who I thought, you can't punch. Yeah, not as big as, I thought. But Canelo was just solid. It was just really, really all over. His shots were solid on the gloves. Hitting him was solid, couldn't budge him.
Yeah.
Just a solid man, yeah.
You mentioned your brother Callum there and his performance against Groves, but flipping it, his performance against Boazzi.
Yeah,
that was special, wasn't it? What's next for Callum?
I don't know. I'm seeing now, and he's put within a text of 4 of us, and again, just touching back on how close we are. He asks us his decisions. We all ask each other, look, Eddie's offered this for that. What do you think?
Really?
Yeah, and
would you have
again,
like a family meeting?
And we
do you really? Yeah, quality.
We did for we did for Callum going in tournaments. So Callum's looking like, sit with you, and need to talk to you. 4 of us went to Costa, and look, they've offered me the tournaments. Groves is going to be in it, so there's a world title in it. I've heard Cox is in it, such. They're going to be seeded, and there's that much money for the first fight. So, or I can fight Anthony Durrell in Flint for that much money for the WC title, but he's just pulled out injured, so I'll have to wait till September. And we all said the tournament, Callum, you'll beat him. You're confident of beating Groves.
Yeah.
You come out world champion. You beat him. You earn that much money going to tournaments. He went in the tournament and he won it. So exactly, the other day, I think an offer's been made for Benavidez. So I think Eddie's come with, they've offered this for Benavidez, or you can have a defence of your interim, then wait for Bivol or Benavidez. So, I think he's in the middle of negotiating that at the moment. So
more gum and lip biting for you then?
Horrendous. I'm honest to God, I'm going to have to wear a gum shield, I think, when he's in the ring, because he will think I'm round the bend, seeing me shouting for Callum with a big gum shield in. But, it was bad. No, the next day when, I've had it in fights, over there, roll my ankle. The next day, sometimes I can't walk where I've rolled too far, but the adrenaline, I've pulled my ligaments. But the next day after Callum's, where I must have bit that far in to a nerve or something, I couldn't move my jaw side to side. Just a shooting pain. Yet the next day when all the adrenaline must have wore off, I was in agony.
Jeez. Big rematch. It looks like it's going to be announced. Benn and your old foe, Eubank Jr. How did you see that one playing out?
You know what? Watching the first fight was a great fight, better fight than I expected.
Yeah.
But I kind of thought, I think Eubank's one fight away from being done. I thought his balance was shot to bits. I've seen him sparring, knee pads on and stuff. But I just thought, wow, you're one fight away from being done. I think if I was Conor, I'd be pushing big for the rematch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the rematch is a good fight, probably a better fight than I first predicted, if that makes sense. And I think Conor's got even more of a chance in the rematch.
Yeah. Fellow Liverpudlian Nick Ball fighting Sam Goodman.
I've only seen Goodman once, I think, but I think Ball's flying at the minute. You know, he's. I think I keep using that word. I think he's found his niche.
Yeah. You're
what
right.
He's very, very good at. I think his style. You know what I've said to a couple of people in the past. I've got a few friends who train with him. A proper nice lad as well, by the way, a top kid, but probably not the most talented in that gym. When you've got McGrail and Andrew Kane, but found his niche to what he's very, very good at. He's short, he's compact, he's solid. And where he's small at that weight, he's solid. You know, you hit him with a sledgehammer, you won't budge him. And, you know, he's unbelievable at the CrossFit they do. He does a lot of high rocks and CrossFit. He's an animal at that, I believe. So, again, just found out what he's good at, and it's going to be very, very hard to beat, you know, at that weight. And me looking at it now, I think only probably Inoue beats him at that weight.
Would you like to see him in with Inoue?
Yeah and no. No, because I think he can become an absolute star.
Not fighting him.
Yeah. I think he's going to pick up some more belts.
Yeah.
If the money's stupid, you know, go and test yourself against Inoue. I think it's a hard one because he's solid and durable enough to handle himself, but then he's frightening Inoue. And I think, you know, Nick's style could be Inoue could be all wrong for Nick's style.
Yeah.
You know, he's not hard to this, Nick. I'm seeing Ronnie Rios lands a few on him. CJ Donaghy. But Inoue's special. So, yeah, go and test yourself against him if the money's great. But I do think he can just clean up that division, go and pick up some more titles. And I don't think anyone else beats him. I think, you know, he beat Vargas in the rematch and a few others that they're talking about. I think he cleans up that division.
Who's Liverpool's greatest ever fighter, in your opinion?
Callum Smith.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, when you put people in the brackets, you know, is it people mention Conti, people mention, I think I you know, I might be biased, but yeah, I think Callum.
I agree with you. That's why I've teed you up with that one.
Yeah.
Right, before we get onto the fan questions, your Mount Rushmore of boxing, and it can't be the Smith brothers.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Paul. I'd leave our Paul off it. No, I'm messing. We always laugh. We stay. Sugar Ray Leonard. How many is he? 5? 4. I'd have Leonard, Mike Tyson. Miguel Cotto, because he's one of my favourites. And Naz.
I like that. We always get a different 4. And it's your 4, so it don't matter. Whatever.
Well, like I say, Cotto was one of my just personal favourites. It's probably hard getting a conversation out of Cotto, but, you know, Leonard was just a great, my favourite ever. And character as well, a boss person to be around. Tyson's just Tyson. And Naz is...
Yeah.
For me, Naz is up there with Britain's best.
Yeah, I'd agree. He was definitely a pioneer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Going back to Cotto as well, we went, it was one of the fighter meetings, you know, they do them in the States and they do them in Riyadh. So I go to a fight meeting and Cotto was working with one of the fighters there. I think it may have been Barboza. I'm not sure it was actually, but I couldn't take my eyes off him.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a legend.
Yeah, he's just got that aura about him.
He does.
Yeah. You know what? I had one of them moments where the Canelo fight, the morning of the weigh-in, they come up in my room to do a fighter meeting, Jim Lampley and Roy Jones. Yeah. But I had to get out for a funny one. I was in the bath. Like last with a pound off and I had to get out. And I was like, can't he just wait? Like, I thought, I'm dry, I can't bother talking to them all, dry them out. And yeah, they ended up coming up. I had to get out the bath and sit with them for half an hour. But I say it was Roy Jones, so
I had exactly the same. Exactly the same. Gil, I've got Roy Jones. I'm talking to, he's asking me questions.
Yeah, he commented on me and Munguia, Roy Jones, and remember after saying, I'd say, ever see his name again, I'll buy a ticket. If I ever see Liam Smith or Munguia's name, I'll buy a ticket. And then it's a bit of a, a small world that he eventually then coached Chris against me.
Oh, yeah. Fans questions. I've got a few here. Ian James 91 ask him to pick 3 numbers between 1 and 49, and I'll do them in the next Irish draw after the pod.
I'm not that lucky, but I'll give him 4, 10 and 20.
Right, okay. What was the hardest thing about being a pro boxer? That is P drop X80.
I think every boxer will probably give you a different answer, but I think a lot will tell you probably making weight. Fight week, making weight was always the week I hated. I hated fight week. I wish I could always do me full camp right up to the Wednesday of fight week, have Thursday off, weigh in Friday and fight Saturday. That's what I'd always loved to do. And I hated fight week. It was boring because it was always just a bit of, your training was done the week before. The fight week was just like the long sweat sessions, the sweatsuits on, and I hated that week.
Stanford Boxing Media, favourite fighter. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, he's one of me. I think he's been one of my biggest fans for my whole career. I think he's followed me everywhere. Phoenix on his own.
Really?
Vegas.
What a legend.
Yeah. He's been everywhere.
Shout out to Stanford Boxing.
Yeah. He's top fella. He sponsors me, the kid I manage now, Frankie. So,
legend.
Yeah, he's a top fella. What was his question?
Favourite fighter?
Ever, Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard.
Sugar Ray Leonard,
fighter, yeah. I
did see one a moment ago. It was funny. I know what it is. Who's your favourite brother? From Stephen.
I give the wrong answer. No, I always laugh, but he'd probably say who's the worst brother. He probably should have teed you up for that. We always just give Paul shit, don't we? Paul takes some stick off us, like.
Does he really?
Paul gets there. Paul gets some stick off 3 of us, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Conde 94. Has he had any offers?
Yes, but not really opponent wise. Yes, I've had but not fight offers. I've had offers a date.
Right.
Yeah, but no one in particular.
This is someone telling you something. CS MiG 85. Tell him not to pack it in. He's still got loads left.
Thank you.
Official Alfie Q. His training regime when he's in camp. How does he perfect his style he has?
Yeah, just I think probably years and years of repetition. What comes natural to me, that is my style from a kid has been that. It's not something I've learned, and it's not something people have tried to change. So, I went from Georgie Vaughan to Joe Gallagher, then Joe Gallagher to Jokes from Declan, and people haven't really tried to change my style. They've just tried to add their input, and I don't know. I think it's something I was most comfortable with. I was never one to have like a chess match, type of a spar. I hated it. I always just wanted to fight. That's the way I was as a kid, and that style just become accustomed to me. So that was what I'd done every day in sparring. I'd spar that way. I would never try turn southpaw, so I'm not good at it. So I see kids now trying to do it, and I feel like there's kids I've got in sparring doing it, and I think you're only doing it for the rest. You're not good southpaw. You're doing that for me to work the southpaw style out, get my foot on the outside, and it's buying you time. You stop engaging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I see kids doing it now, and when it doesn't come natural, I say to the opposite kid, whether it's one of my own or somebody walk in the gym and see the kid sparring, and just say, look, he's only doing that for the rest. He's doing that to kid you for 20, 30 seconds, and it's 20, 30 seconds gone in the round that he buys a rest. So, I always just done what I was good at, and it just always, become naturally. Years out boxing, that style become natural to me.
No good at southpaw, but how's your left foot?
Footy, it's all right. Best on my right.
Is it? Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah, really, yeah.
Really? Yeah. But you're right-footed?
I'm right-footed, but my left foot's better than my right. Everyone I play football will say, your left foot's better than your right. But then also on a punching machine, I'll go with my left hand. But I'm right-handed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, last couple. You mentioned trainers there. Eddie Davis 10 said, is there any trainers you'd have liked to have worked with?
Yeah, Buddy McGirt. I've always liked to work with Buddy. I just think he's unbelievable. I think he's one of the best coaches. You know, the 2 hours in the gym with him is like 10 hours with anybody else. Just his knowledge is the way he puts. I could watch him and Callum every day. You know, I would love to have worked with him, but you know, you can't really chop and change trainers, as you know. You've got to gel and mold, and your trainer needs to know you inside out. So, you know, I'm happy with the trainers I had, and but yeah, probably Buddy's one I'd like to have worked with.
But being nicknamed Beefy, I've got to ask you this one. Danny 1878 Stunt. What's your favourite cheat or post-fight meal?
You know what, me post-fight meal? Post-fight after you fight? Yeah, I was say
after weighing or fight, whatever.
My favourite is probably like pre-fight and post-fight. If you ask me my favourite food now, it's pasta.
Yeah.
And I say I eat everything. I eat Chinese, I eat whatever. But my favourite meal now is probably pasta.
Yeah.
Lobster pasta. Like
I fancy that. You can see you done a few quid.
No, I was going to say San Carlo, but I thought you might have said that then. The San Carlo lobster pasta is just my favourite.
Is it really?
Yeah,
San Carlo. You can't beat it, can you? Really?
And that's it. That's after the weigh-in. That's me. That's the meal I have the night of the weigh-in, and probably now. Your last meal now. I'd probably go there and have that.
Liam, I can't thank you enough for your time. I know you're a busy man. You've got loads, and you're playing paddle in an hour. Regardless of what you do in the future, you've given us so many great nights. You know, the Eubank, the Canelo sort of. I mean, you're part, like I say, 1/4 of the amazing Smith brothers. A film or a series is no doubt going to come out one day. That's for sure. But from everyone from First Round TV, myself, thank you so much, mate. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Nice one, mate. Thank you very much. Start on me.